Hello, today I'm looking at Sutta number 79 of the Majjhima Nikaya, and it's called, this is hard to pronounce, the CulaSakuludayi Sutta. So the shorter discourse to Sakuludayi. Now throughout, the person's actually referred to Udayin, so I wonder if Sakula is the title. So anyway. Now, the location is the Peacock's Sanctuary and the Squirrel Sanctuary in the Bamboo Grove at Rajagaha. And the persons mentioned are Buddha and Sakuludayi, or we'll just call him Udayin. Now, he's described as a wanderer, but in fact, I think he was in fact quite a leading player in the Jain movement, J-A-I-N, Jain, the Jain movement, which will become apparent as we go through the sutta. So here we go. So one morning, when it was too early for alms, Buddha went from the Squirrel's Sanctuary to the Peacock's Sanctuary to seek out Udayin. Udayin was with a group of wanderers discussing noisily all manner of inconsequential things. Now this is as described in previous suttas, 78, 77 and so on. So after introductions and formalities, Udayin asks of Buddha, "Venerable Sir, recently there was someone claiming to be omniscient and all-seeing, to have complete knowledge, but when I asked him a question about the past, he prevaricated, tried to change the subject, showed anger, hate and bitterness. Then rapture regarding the Blessed One arose within me. Surely it is the Blessed One who is skilled in these things." "But Udayin," Buddha asks, "who was it who claims omniscience, yet will not answer questions?" "It was Niganta Nataputta," Udayin replied. Now, looking up Niganta Nataputta, he's a sort of one of the founders of the Jain sect. So Buddha says to Udayin, "Udayin, if someone should recollect his many past lives, then he might ask me a question about the past. Or I might ask him a question about the past, and I might like his answer, or he might like my answer. The same might occur with someone who has a divine eye, can see beings pass away and reappear, superior or inferior, according to their actions. So too he might ask me questions about the future, or I might ask him a question about the future. I might satisfy him with my answer, he might satisfy me. But, Udayin, the past and present aside, let me teach you about the Dhamma. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases." So I think that's reference to dependent origination. So for every cause there is an effect, and for every effect there was a cause. So that's in Sutta number 38, paragraph 19. So anyway, so Udayin responded, "Venerable Sir, I cannot even recall aspects and experiences within the present existence. So how should I be able to recollect past lives? And I can't even see a mud goblin. So how should I see with the divine eye beings pass away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, and how beings pass on according to their actions as the Blessed One does? And when you state when this exists, that comes to be, when the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. with the cessation of this, that ceases. This is even more unclear to me. Perhaps, Venerable Sir, perhaps I can satisfy the Blessed One's mind by answering a question about our own teacher's doctrine, that is, about Jainism. So, Buddha asked, what is taught in your teacher's doctrine? Udayin explains, it is taught that this is the perfect splendor. Buddha asks, what is this perfect splendor that you talk of? Which, given examples of perfect splendor, Udayin is unable to explain what that perfect splendor is. So there's a sort of question and answer interrogation session went on to try and find out what this perfect splendor was, but Udayin was unable to answer. And Udayin admits his doctrine is empty and mistaken. Buddha continues, is there an exclusive pleasant world? Is there a practical way to realize an exclusive pleasant world? Udayin replies, there is a practical way to realize an exclusive pleasant way, exclusive pleasant world. By abandoning killing of living beings, by abandoning taking that which is not given, by abandoning misconduct in sensual pleasure, by abandoning false speech. So that's how Udayin relates it, and it's interesting. It's the same as the precepts in Buddhism. And Udayin continues, or the person may practice some kind of asceticism. But Buddha questions this, asking Udayin in turn whether each of these precepts brings pleasure or pleasure and pain, such as, does abandoning false speech bring total pleasure or pleasure and pain? Udayin admits in turn that each precept brings pleasure and pain. So Udayin again has to admit that his teacher's doctrines again are false. So Udayin asks of Buddha, in his view, is there a practical way to realize an exclusively pleasant world? Buddha then explains about how to step through the meditation steps of the jhanas to achieve a way to realize an exclusively pleasant world, after saying about abandoning worldly pleasures and possessions and the hindrances. So rather than going through that in detail, I've actually just made a short video on what the meditation steps are, so I'll try and put a link in for that. Now, so Buddha's explained the Dharma to Udayin, but Udayin objects that this is not the way to achieve a pleasant world. He says, at that point, a pleasant world has already been achieved. So Udayin's understanding is there are only 3 jhanas. Buddha says Udayin is incorrect, to which Udayin's assembly loudly object. So although it comes across as being a conversation between Buddha and Udayin, it appears that the other folk who were in the park at the same time were there listening and are Udayin's followers in a way. So there's a general murmur of discontent about this, but then Buddha states that it's only upon entering the 4th jhana that an exclusively pleasant world is realized. So again, if you refer to the little video I've shown, it goes through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th jhana. So then, after some prompting to find out what this is all about, Buddha goes on to explain all the jhana states, as I've said, and that once achieved, the mind is liberated from the taints of sensual desires, the taint of being, and the taint of ignorance, and there is no more returning So that's the end of the rebirth cycle. And Buddha concludes, and this, Udayin, is why people follow me. Udayin then realizes the clarity of the Dhamma and proposes to follow Buddha. But Udayin's followers objected, saying that Udayin is a teacher and should not live as a pupil. And this is how Udayin's followers stopped Udayin from becoming a follower of Buddha. So that's the end of Majjhima Nikaya number 79. Thanks for watching.